Julio's death shattered one person more than anyone. His mom, Sandrica's Mays, and this grieving mother. She's not sitting back anymore. In a courtroom explosion that's already flipping the case upside down,
I was affected by this.
She went straight for the men accused of killing her son. Blood spilled right in front of the judge. Inside a packed Florida courtroom with lawyers whispering and onlookers barely breathing, Sandrica stood up. No shaking, no tears. Her voice like daggers through glass. "I want you to look at me," she snapped, eyes locked on the men accused of ambushing her son. "I lost my son, but you ain't seen a fight yet," she shouted.
As everybody know, that I got shot 8 times going to work early in the morning.
Facing off with the 3 men charged with plotting and carrying out the cold-blooded hit on her son, Julio, the controversial Jacksonville drill rapper who got gunned down in a Tampa hotel parking lot on his 26th birthday. The suspects, Sean Guy Wright, Rashad Murphy, and Davion Murphy, all hit with first-degree murder charges, and it gets messier. There was even a pregnant woman allegedly involved, and now word is she's flipped. Nobody saw this courtroom ambush coming. Not the lawyers, not the media, and definitely not the suspects, especially considering that Sandricas had already survived being shot 8 times in a separate incident tied to Julio's beef.
People ask, where's his mom? It starts from the home, them not knowing that I stayed on him about this beef stuff, cussed him out, begged him to take stuff down, and when I was shot 8 times, I spared the lives of those even though mine was changed.
Wow.
And she just basically, spoke about the pain that she had to go through living with her son.
This wasn't some boring arraignment. This was a mother's explosion. A warning shot straight through the courtroom. But here's the real twist. Someone close to Julio might have helped set him up. They knew exactly where the birthday party was, and it was Julio himself who posted the address on Instagram. Before we dig deeper, know this. Julio wasn't just some rapper chasing clout. He was a storm wrapped in a spotlight. Known as Charles Jones, he blew up on the Jacksonville drill scene by dropping brutally honest, unfiltered tracks. No filters, no fear. And with fame came enemies. His breakout, that wild track, When I See You, a twisted remix of Fantasia's R&B hit, only this version took aim at murdered rivals. The views? Millions. The backlash? Deadly. Julio became a walking target, bulletproof vest at interviews, but reckless with his moves. He'd go live, post his location, and bait his enemies like it was a game. That's exactly what he did on his 26th birthday. He DM'd fans the party address thinking he was slick. But nah, he was being watched.
I was just so surprised that he got all them enemies, man, and he was willing to go live everywhere he went and tell people, even to promote a birthday party. I think was crazy, man, knowing that, you still in your home state. I don't know why he didn't go out to like a different state and enjoy his birthday party. But if he was somewhere else, man, they probably wouldn't even got him, man.
Surveillance footage shows 3 men creeping around the Holiday Inn parking lot in Tampa. It was early morning, then boom, gunshots everywhere. Julio, riding passenger, barely had time to blink. He got sprayed. 3 others were hit. He didn't make it. The cops named the shooters, Sean Guy, Rashad Murphy, and Davion Murphy, linked by family ties, gang roots, and digital trails. License plate readers, phone records, and hotel cameras all pointed to 2 getaway cars. But the game really started changing when a 4th suspect, Alicia L. Andrews, allegedly pregnant, started cooperating.
They think prison is a game until they get there.
I mean, yeah, the girl who is charged with the murder of Foolio, she's actually pregnant at the time, so
And
she's cooperating.
But she telling him,
Yeah,
He's still gonna probably do 30 years.
She asked for a speedy trial.
Word is she's ready to spill everything. Some people act tough till they're sitting in a cell, then reality hits. But hold up, this wasn't just another gang ambush. According to Sandricas, this was personal, and the whispers flying around the courthouse, they say one of the suspects knew her, might have eaten at her table, might have sat in her living room like family. That right there explains the fire in her courtroom meltdown. As the suspect sat cold and quiet, Sandricas wasn't having it. She came for truth, and she came loud. People in that Florida courtroom didn't just witness a statement, they witnessed a full-blown eruption. Sandrica's Mays didn't hold back. She pointed, she screamed, and she cursed the ground those suspects walked on. It was raw, it was real. Deputies had to hold her down, others cried. This wasn't just about Julio anymore. This was about a mother who saw the storm coming and still couldn't stop it. She warned him, she begged him. She survived being shot 8 times herself. And now, she had to stand face to face with the men accused of doing what years of beefs had only threatened, ending her son's life, and the darkness doesn't stop there. One of the suspects, Davion Murphy, reportedly cracked under pressure before his arrest. Found at home, gun to his head, threatening to take his own life. Why? Because even they knew what was coming next. And with Alicia L. Andrews allegedly cooperating, that could seal the fate of every one of them. In Florida, first-degree murder means serious consequences, especially for a hit this cold and calculated.
Florida will throw out the death penalty left and right.
In Texas.
Yeah, well, especially for premeditated murder.
So how did things spin this far out of control? How did a rapper once preaching peace end up dead in a hotel parking lot? And what does Sandricus's courtroom explosion say about the history of violence that led here? To get it, you gotta go way back to Julio's roots, back to Jacksonville, back to the streets that raised him and buried too many of his friends. If you don't understand what's going down outside the courtroom, you'll never get what happened inside it. Jacksonville ain't just another city. It's been a war zone for years. Since the early 2000s, rival cliques have turned blocks into battlegrounds. KTA, ATK, Northside, Southside, Hilltop, Avenue B, names that don't mean much until you've lost someone to them. Julio, real name Charles Jones, grew up in that crossfire. He didn't come out the gate dangerous. He was built by the streets. From playing ball and going to church and to loading guns and losing brothers, it all happened fast. He survived multiple shootings, lost people close to him. By 17, he was rapping about the dead and dancing on rivals' graves, and the internet loved it. Julio's rise came from controversy. His most streamed tracks were also his most twisted. Songs like When I See You and Bibby Story weren't just disses, they were sarcastic funerals with beats. He name-dropped the dead, described crime scenes, mocked headshots, taunted moms who'd buried their sons. His music wasn't just lyrics, it was warfare. And Sandricus hated every bit of it. She saw what it was, blood being traded for streams. And in July 2024, somebody came to collect July 22nd, Julio's 26th birthday. A party in Tampa was supposed to be low-key. Instead, it turned into a trap. Just hours in, he was ambushed outside a Holiday Inn. Cameras caught it all, suspects moving in position, guns blazing. The car Julio rode in sped off, but he never had a chance. He died on the spot. 3 others were hit too. Back in court, the suspects didn't flinch, but Sandricus, she blinked through tears. This wasn't just her son, it was her community dying in slow motion. She wasn't just looking at suspects, she was staring at boys who once played in her backyard. The betrayal cut deep. At least one of them had been in her house, ate her food, laughed with her son, then helped take him out. So her outburst in court, that wasn't just emotion, it was a message. And it's gonna hang over this trial like smoke in the air. Sandricus Mays isn't going quiet. She's already working on a documentary to tell the truth from her side.
His mother, she released a statement saying that she wanted to do a documentary on her son and just kind of clearing the air and letting people know what she stood with his whole passing in his life and his legacy. And she said, it's the story that only I can tell because I know the truth from the fakes. I think I'm the only mother that keep it real while most others know damn well what was going on with their sons.
The mother who saw it all and refused to look away. She says other moms pretend they don't know what their sons are into. Not her, she knew. She says, I saw the devil walking through my living room and I tried to shut the door, but he kicked it in. Julio mocked the dead and they mocked him right back. Now his mother is the last voice left standing in a courtroom that's gone ice cold, but the big questions still hanging. How did this all explode? Did Julio's disses seal his fate? Was this death by diss? Julio didn't just rap, he provoked. He didn't just mention names, he called out the dead, their families, and dared people to clap back. Every time a track went viral, it wasn't just music, it was a challenge. And in Jacksonville, that kind of talk is dangerous. Before Julio became drill rap's most talked about fire starter, someone else was dominating the Florida scene, Young Gene Ace. And that rivalry, it was gasoline on an already burning city. Their beef wasn't over cash, not over clout. It started with blood. Ace ran with ATK. Julio rolled with KTA. And in 2017, things hit a boiling point. Ace survived a shooting that killed his brother and 2 of his closest friends. Julio? He laughed. He posted online. The streets took that as war, and the body count started climbing. Jacksonville's murder rate spiked. Meanwhile, fans treated it like a rap battle show. People were dying and the internet was rating diss tracks like sports stats. Then in 2021, Ace dropped a track that shocked everyone, Who I Smoke, rapping over Vanessa Carlton's soft piano melody from 1,000 Miles. But the lyrics? Brutal. He listed names of Julio's dead crew with a hook that mocked their deaths. Julio fired back with When I See You, flipping Fantasia's soulful ballad into a cold-blooded warning. He mentioned Ace's dead brother, threw in funeral pics, ended it by saying he was smoking him. It wasn't just music anymore, it was war set to a beat. With every track Julio dropped, more names got added to the list. Real people, real beefs, real consequences. His discography didn't read like music. It played out like a true crime series with no mystery at all. The suspects called out by name. He rapped about street killings, disrespect on a whole new level, even had one of his people allegedly urinate on a rival's grave. Yeah, it got that wild. DJ Vlad and I'll put it plain. When you diss dead family members, retaliation is coming. But Foolio, he didn't care. Warnings from fans, ignored. Interviewers telling him to chill, shrugged off. Even after catching bullets, he stayed on that same path. His enemies didn't stop either. Behind all that viral energy was a mom who couldn't sleep, who couldn't breathe, who begged her son to chill. Sandricus May saw what was coming. She felt it.
I stayed on him about this beef stuff, cussed him out, begged him to take stuff down.
But Foolio, he was too deep in. The money was good. Shows were packed. Streams were racking up from every line where he dissed his dead rivals. He didn't hear her until the day she had to identify his body. What makes this tragedy even colder is that Foolio knew it was coming. He said it himself in interviews. He knew the lifestyle had a cost. Trench's News called it, when rappers start hinting at peace, it usually means they feel the walls closing in. Not because they're soft, but because they know their enemies are getting closer. Foolio teased peace talks. He even mentioned maybe squashing things with Jay Guiner. But while he said that in public, behind the scenes, he was still posting his location, flashing weapons on live and moving like nothing could touch him.
I was just so surprised that he got all them enemies, man, and he was willing to go live everywhere he went and tell people, even to promote a birthday party. I think was crazy, man.
Trying to balance peace and provocation, that doesn't work in Jacksonville, not for long. He wasn't without guidance either. People around him told him over and over, leave the city, stop dissing, move smarter. His friends say he was sharp, calculated, even strategic. But at the end of the day, Foolio was hooked on the chaos. He believed he could outsmart death, outrun karma, but deep down, he knew the countdown had started. That birthday party in Tampa might have been the final mistake. He was too close to Jacksonville, too loud about his location. He didn't act like a man with enemies. He acted like a rapper throwing a celebration. But for those who hated him, that Instagram post looked like an open invite to take him out, and they RSVP'd. Foolio died doing exactly what made him famous, pushing the edge between music and menace. His tracks weren't metaphors, they were confessions. Where other rappers leave town once the heat rises, Foolio stayed planted in the fire. He kept his enemies close, way too close. Why does this story still matter? Because Foolio isn't the first, and sadly, won't be the last. Drill rappers all over are walking the same tightrope. They think their flow is armor, that bars protect them, but the streets don't care about lyrics. They respond with bullets. Sandricus Mays isn't looking for sympathy. She's looking for change. In her upcoming documentary, she's naming names. She's breaking it all down. The threats, the warnings, the industry that turned a blind eye. Foolio was more than a rapper. He was someone's son, someone's brother, a case file, and a headline. And this wasn't random. His death wasn't bad luck. It was scheduled. And Sandricus wants something understood, loud and clear. The industry watched this happen. The labels knew. They saw the disses. They heard the names. YouTube kept cashing in on every view. Spotify pushed his tracks through their algorithm. Blogs turned every diss into entertainment. No one stepped in. No calls from execs, no interventions, just more bookings, more checks, more incentive to double down. This wasn't just about a reckless artist. This is about a system that rewards disrespect. That cashes in on pain. Foolio wasn't the only one making bad moves, but he was one of the few who told the truth, unfiltered. And that truth, it got him killed. After his death, KTA went quiet. The young artists Foolio mentored started fading from the spotlight. Some deleted their songs, some went private. The streets started whispering that more indictments might be coming. Even ATK affiliates, silent. Even Young Gain Ace, the guy who always had something to say, hasn't said a word about Foolio's death. And that silence, it speaks volumes. The saddest part of this whole mess isn't just the young lives lost, it's the mothers who have to bury their sons. Sandricus doesn't blame them. She gets it. When your child is deep in the streets, sometimes all you can do is pray. But now, she wants moms everywhere to speak up before it's too late. Drill isn't going away. The culture isn't vanishing overnight. But Foolio's story, it's a warning siren. You only get two exits, death or prison. And Sandricus Mays is making sure that message echoes across every city, every studio, and every label. She might have lost her son, but she's not letting him be remembered as just another thumbnail or mugshot. Every time she steps in a courtroom, every post she shares, every interview she gives, she's turning pain into purpose, and she's not letting the world forget what happened to Foolio. And when Sandrica's maze couldn't hold it in any longer, she exploded. What was supposed to be a routine courtroom moment turned into a full-on eruption, a standard arraignment. Cameras rolling, reporters scribbling, 3 men in cuffs being read their charges. Just another headline, until it wasn't. Because when prosecutors said the words first-degree murder, conspiracy, and aggravated battery, something inside her snapped. "You took my baby. I hope they fry. I hope they rot," she screamed, shaking the walls with grief and rage. Everything froze. The courtroom turned ice cold. Even the defendants turned their heads. One of them? He smirked. That's when Sandricus lunged forward. Bailiffs rushed in. Her family broke down in tears. The judge slammed the gavel, yelling for order, but she didn't care. She wasn't there to whisper. She was there to make noise. And the 3 men on trial, Sean Guy Wright, Davian Murphy, and Rashad Murphy, weren't just caught on a hunch. Prosecutors brought receipts, surveillance footage from the Holiday Inn, cell tower pings, license plate hits, witnesses, and the wildest twist of all, a 4th suspect, a woman, pregnant at the time of the shooting. She wasn't just involved, she's now reportedly cooperating fully. That changes everything. Her testimony could crack the whole case wide open, but her cooperation raises another question. How far did this conspiracy really go? According to court docs, someone knew Julio's every move before the party. Could have been through social media, DMS, or maybe someone from inside Julio's own circle. That's what's really got people talking. Was this not just a hit, but a setup? Now it makes sense why Sandricus lost it in court. That wasn't just fury, that was betrayal. And yet through all that emotion, what really stood out was how cold the system felt. While she cried and screamed, arms locked by guards, prosecutors just kept reading. Judges called for calm. The defendants stared like statues, like none of it mattered, but the public noticed. Within hours, that courtroom chaos went viral. Videos all over TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, millions of views, thousands of comments. Some praised her, others called her out, but everyone agreed. That was the sound of a mother who's buried too many sons. That raw emotion, that's what the internet couldn't ignore. For once, pain was trending. And here's the cold reality. This wasn't even her first brush with death. Years back, Sandricus had already survived a targeted shooting. 8 bullets tied to Julio's beefs. She barely made it.
Everybody know that I got shot 8 times going to work early in the morning.
But the trauma never left. And even while Foolio blew up, diss tracks, tours, viral numbers, the bullets never stopped flying. Then came the moment no parent ever wants, burying her child. That was when the dam finally broke, and as this trial unfolds, big questions are still hanging in the air. Who dropped Julio's location? How many people were in on the plan? Will the cooperating suspect name more than just the shooters? And will anyone finally hold the platforms and labels accountable for fueling this? Because Sandricus Mays wants those answers, and she's not stopping until she gets them. Not just in court, but in the court of public opinion. She's got a documentary on the way. That's right, Sandricus is telling her side, all of it, not just as a grieving mom, but as a survivor. Twice over. She's met with producers, saved voice notes, screenshots, photos. She's exposing what drill culture really did to her son and what the justice system still needs to undo. The suspects still locked up, pretrial hearings coming soon, and Sandricus, she'll be there. Every single one. Ready to testify, ready to stare them down again, ready to speak her truth with no filter. Prosecutors say this case is airtight, caught on camera, caught on phones, caught by someone they trusted. But to Sandricus, the only thing airtight is the casket she had to buy. She doesn't want revenge, she wants awareness. She wants these young artists to listen, because no hit song is worth your mama's tears. And she wants you to know this is bigger than rap. Drill music is real. The consequences are real. Julio's death wasn't just another statistic, it's a symbol of a broken culture, of a mother screaming for help while the world scrolled past, of a system that fed off the chaos, then stood silent in the grief. So if you're watching this and you felt even a fraction of that pain, don't just scroll, like, comment, share this video, and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next. Sandricus Mays is making sure Julio's death won't be forgotten, and we're going to keep telling this story until the silence breaks. See you in the next one.